First of all, I wish to thank France and Claire for her successful term and active approach. And I promise that the Czech Presidency will follow up on your work. Merci beaucoup. Now I would like to give floor to Ambassador Cristian Tudor, Ambassador of the European Union, because the EU Delegation is the main organizer of the EU activities here in Kuwait. So Cristian, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum jami'an. I will very happy to see you all. Allow me just to briefly
Just a second, just to move the mic. Yeah, we just have to move the mic.
yeah.
Can you move this? Okay.
Get closer like that, that's better. So, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes. So, hello everyone. My name is Cristian Tudor. I'm the Ambassador of the European Union to Kuwait. I'd like to thank very much Ambassador of Czechia for organizing this press conference to express my gratitude to Flecher for the work that we have done together for the last 6 months, and to obviously express my deep commitment to continue to work with Czechia. The President of the Council of the European Union rotates among the EU member states every 6 months. Before taking up this important role, the EU member state, which holds the presidency, prepares its detailed program for the topics and priority issues that will be addressed by the Council of the European Union in Brussels. The EU delegation in Kuwait worked closely with the Embassy of France for the past year to assist them in achieving the objectives of their presidency. I look forward to continuing this excellent cooperation with the Czech Embassy as they take over the role of the rotating presidency tomorrow. Unfortunately, one of the issues during the last 6 months was the return of war to Europe in the form of the Russian aggression against Ukraine. Europe will continue to work with Ukraine and like-minded partners to counter this aggression, and eventually Ukraine will prevail. I avail this opportunity to pay tribute to the leadership of the French presidency of the Council during the last 6 months, which required swift action countering the Russian aggression, which began in February, as we all know. In the coming 6 months, the EU delegation in Kuwait will continue to deepen cooperation with Kuwait in various areas, including trade, investment, economy, human rights, security, humanitarian assistance, cooperation, and development. Our delegation also plays an important role in organizing and hosting regular meetings at the level of heads of mission for the 17 EU member states represented in Kuwait, which provide a platform for EU ambassadors to exchange views and coordinate our work in Kuwait. I'd like to mention that we very much welcome the decision that was taken yesterday by the Council of the European Union on the negotiating mandate on the liberalization of short-stay visas for Kuwait and Qatar, which is an important step in this legislative process. On the basis of this mandate, the presidency of the Council will start negotiations with the European Parliament. The Council confirmed the Commission's proposal to provide for visa-free travel for the citizens of these two countries when traveling to the European Union for a maximum duration of 90 days per 180-day period. The entry into force of the exemption should take place after the effective entry into operation of the European Travel Information and Authorization System, ETIAS, scheduled for 2023. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Cristian. Now I would like to give floor to Ambassador Flecher, Ambassador of France, and I will ask her to elaborate on the priorities, challenges, and successes of the French presidency in the past 6 months. Please, Claire, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Excellency, for your words. Thank you, Cristian, for introducing today's meeting with the difficult task of explaining to our guests some of the mechanisms which underpin the functioning of the European Union, in particular how rotating presidencies work. I can assure you that they are not always easy to understand, even for EU citizens. This is because we are a unique type of political body, a union of sovereign states, enriched by our diverse national identities and cultures, but convinced that considering the challenges of present times, we are stronger together. And so we had to design rules to do this, sometimes complex, but always aiming at creating a strong base to forge solid collective decisions. Sorry for these general introductory remarks, but this consensus-forging approach has rarely been more necessary, more precious than in this year, when the invasion of Ukraine by Russia on February 24 has upset the whole way we were seeing the European continent and its security. Until then, despite tragic conflicts in the Balkans in the 19th, and more ominously, the first interventions of Russia in Ukraine in 2014, we could believe large-scale conflicts were for Europe bad memories. Russia's unprovoked and unjustified aggression against the sovereignty of Ukraine has been a very brutal wake-up call. I can assure you that when last January, France started its 6-month EU presidency, everybody was focusing on a wholly different set of priorities. This meant in particular the economic front. In January 2022, the EU was hoping that the main task during the French presidency would be to cope with by the EU in 2021. But then military thunder struck in Ukraine, and then nothing could be any more as before. And the EU was confronted with a challenge of extreme magnitude without relevant precedent. On one side, we, Europeans, have had to show our very strong collective resolve in confronting the worst attack since 1945 on the security order assuring the stability of the European continent. And on the other side, we have had to keep working hard on all the other pressing issues on the EU's agenda, including threats on international economic stability and food security, as well as the climate change agenda. As to the war against Ukraine, contrary to everything Russia believed and hoped for, the EU has demonstrated strong unity and collective purpose. Not only did the EU condemn in the most unequivocal way, together with a large majority of countries in the world, including Kuwait, an extremely clear and grave violation of United Nations rules, moreover perpetrated by one of the 5 permanent members of the Security Council, which are supposed to be guarantors of these same rules. The EU also showed its capacity to act decisively on many different fronts. First, it had to address, as a matter of urgency, the major humanitarian crisis provoked by the war, which has displaced from their homes and sent on the roads millions of Ukrainians, mainly women, children and older people. Hundreds of thousands have had to take shelter from invasion and bombings in EU countries, primarily neighbors. Second, the EU quickly started to address the situation from a security and defense viewpoint through coordinated supplies of military equipment to enable Ukraine to defend its territory against the onslaught of an army with much superior quantities of armament, and through decisions to increase its own defense capacities to deter such aggressions. Third, the EU acted to reduce its dependency on Russian energy supplies by deciding to stop imports of Russian coal and oil and agreeing to move in the same direction for gas. And fourth, but not least, the EU decided on several successive rounds of targeted sanctions against Russia. These sanctions are not always correctly understood outside of the EU. Their primary purpose is not to punish Russia, but to put very strong pressure on it so that it stops its aggression and that Ukrainian national integrity can be restored according to international law. They are also meant to reduce technological and financial capabilities of Russia to pursue its hugely destructive war effort. As to other top priorities, the EU unanimously agreed that it could not suspend or even slow down its work on several other pressing priorities it had defined ahead of the Ukraine war. This means in particular on the economic front,